Alright, so let's see what changes I made on my own in the weapon scriptable object. So clearly the weapon settings header has been slightly changed. The weapon UI has been added as a header. I have reordered things, so sprites, names and icons are above. That's the weapon UI section. Then the weapon mechanics and type is time being shot, reloading, animation time and etc. Then we have weapon clipping settings, so that's all the clip settings. Then we have camera positions, recoil and sway settings. We also have the offsets, position offsets added when child trigger holder. So that is very important as we need that a lot. Then I've changed the way these are structured. You can see, have a look. Yeah. All of that is the same as above. Alright. Then we made a function for this to get all of these serialized. And we get them just like they are ordered and by default above, as we defined them the same way I'm getting them. So then, and drawing them the same way as well. So draw property field. First weapon name, icon sprites, all the icons, things for UI, weapon mechanics is next. And then weapon clipping comes after this mechanics section finishes in the if statement. And then weapon clipping settings, camera settings, and recoil settings. Then we finally just do the positions and spine constraints. And that's pretty much it for the weapon SO changes. Yep, so let's move on to the weapon base class, and we have made quite a lot of changes in here. Well, to start, we have the Unity editor going on in here. We are using the if statement to prevent build errors. That will save us. Then we just have the references. We have hands-eye transform. We have the slim machine, and audio clips have been put correctly. You can see audio, animator, and recoil has been added in the same script as well. And we've got the interaction message changes. We've added these two. We got an initial rot as the SO is now handled by this script here. So then we have this code over here that's for sway and recoil, target rotation, current rotation, all of that stuff. Look X, look Y, check if the controller is going above 90, minus 90, then just do the job. So rotation is then just set directly because anyway added with the initial and final. Then we have the shoot function. It is using target rotation plus equals. Before it was set to equal, which was not pretty good, so we use plus equals, and it does make sense. So everything else is the same in this line of code. We have impulse recoil, everything else. Start reloading is same. Set mag to mag parent. You can see I'm using audio playing using the audio source play clip at point. Before we were using the audio source. Now I'm using the world audio play clip at point. So that's just for simplicity, and yeah, using it in both cases. That's the changes. Then we spawn mag. That's the same, I think. And I've added a new function called take out new mag. It just enables the mag. And the previous function you must have seen it's disabling it, that's why. Then we have play audio clip, which takes an animation event, uses the object reference field, and just plays the clip at point. Then we have the message, interact, set current weapon, and the set control reference. So we're using this everywhere in the play controller. Before we were using is current weapon directly and is or the controller field. So now I'm using the functions. We'll see in a bit when we go to the play controller script tonight. So as you can see, everything is same here. We have added this as well inside the set mag parent to hand. We now check which hand you want to parent it to. If you pass in left hand, then always left hand, or it will default to right hand. Now I've added custom editors, windows and things. So this is inside this section here, inside weapon base, of course. We're changing that one right now. So the first section I made of here is weapon setup editor window. If you don't know what editor is, you can go and check that out on Google, YouTube, and just find out what they are to get familiar with it. But for now, I have not made any tutorial on that yet. Maybe later on. So we can see we have a function, open window, it does everything we need. We have the variables first. To define these variables, all these strings for the left hand icon, index, blah blah. Then all the transform module clips, game objects, and the int of the page number. We have a function for opening the window, which actually gets the window and opens that up. Then we do everything else we need for the window. We have function for on GUI. This is where we draw everything. If weapon base is null, we just close it so that we prevent problems when creation is happening. Then we add a space and all the GUI layout stuff. So begin horizontal, 5 pixels, more space. We create a new GUI style, set the style correctly that we want. Then we say, okay, display that thing that we are changing style for. It's the page number. And horizontal, we go to the page management. So it's a simple if statements here that are handling the page drawing, and yep, that all works. Begin horizontal again. Just to explain, the page number is actually 0, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't go to 1, 2, 3, and 4. It starts with 0. That's why we add by 1 and then compare to 1. So that's how I did it for simplicity again. Once that's done, we just begin horizontal and we put the previous button. We check if the page actually is +1 is not equal to 0. Then only we draw the previous step. Otherwise, we should not be able to -1 to go into minus pages, which is not available. We have a next button only if it's not equal to 4, which means if we have already come to the end, then we should just draw a close button, which closes the window. Then we just end horizontal to prevent errors, of course. Without that, the GUI will not be happy with us. We have page changing functions, so they're basic ones. Next page and previous page, just plus equal on 1 with the page number and -1. So that's pretty simple. Then we have the page drawing functions. If you come in this one section, start off by the draw page 1. We have the label that draws the hands IK targets. So create hands IK targets, space and some label talking about the transform. Then the parent transform is actually displayed as a transform field object type, space, and we draw all the IK targets for the names that he wants, space again, and button for creating the hand IK targets. We have a function that creates that. We show this just after we have done with the pages. So next page we have page 2. Yeah, so it creates hand target, and we actually do it. Then we have draw page 2, which is quite basic again. Everything else is similar, just a few changes. Then we have this create weapon as an asset. Now this is quite complex. It's below a function. I'll show that. Don't worry. It's with the other one. It's in here in this section. I just show it after we've done the pages. So then we check if created. Then only we want to go next page and then a space. Alright, then we have this same type of page again, label field, space, and we again have an object for the mesh transform, and we have fire point, fire audio clip. We have the button for creating all fire game objects. A mesh, which is checked. If it's null, then we cannot create it. If it's not, just continue and set everything accordingly. Set the weapons references as well. Then we have the muzzle flash creation. It's similar as well. We have an object field instead. And then we have a button for creating that one. Check if it's not null. If it's null, then just return and give up, of course, debug log. And otherwise, just continue and set things accordingly. Set the references and set the selection to the active to muzzle flash. Otherwise, debug.log warning. Then we have the basic mag parent. Again, it has a editor GUI label field. Then we have the mag assigned to an object field. And null, then we just go ahead. Next page if we create it. Otherwise, bye-bye, no point. So I think we don't need to do a next page though, so just delete that though. Yeah, because somebody might come and just press that one by mistake first and then want to do the rest, and will be thrown away to the next page, which is not fair enough. Good, that's done. Mag parent done. So now we go to the just the space if you forgot. Right, the final page. So that's the final finishing weapon setup. We have the GUI layout, add a cinemachine impulse source for camera recoil. Then we have the weapon base assignments, everything with the button. Then add a box collider, adding and then assignments, the things. Add an animator so you can create animations. Then again a button, and everything is going similarly. Then we just show the ammos that he wants to set by default. It's all binded to the weapon base class, so whatever you change is assigned to the weapon base class. Then we have the audio clip reference that's also binded to the weapon base. So you can see I'm actually assigning equal to, you can see, to the reload audio clip and things. Then the message is also assigned. So all of that is now in our window and can be changed, and once done we can close it, and we have changed everything. Next we have this basic function which you might have seen being used up. You can see it's used everywhere, .text field. This function takes a label and ref string text, begins a horizontal and starts with GUI layout.label. labels a GUI layout.width so that we have some space between the text and the value. Usually it was having problems, I don't know why. Then we have these two new functions which I was talking about. So create IQ target. It's quite basic. It's a lot of game objects, you can see, creating a few million of them. Then we assign all the parents and at the end we do the hands to the hand IQ transform, and then the hands IQ is also parented to the parent transform. So all of that is going to give a nice clean hierarchy. Otherwise, if it's null, it's not null, then only want to position it. Otherwise we don't want to. Mostly it will be not null. The rest is just assigning the references. Then we have this nice function. It's quite complex. So string selected path is the editor utility and opens a folder panel up for me. Then checks if it's not null. Otherwise, if it is null or empty, just return false. So which means we get false from the function, which will give us another log. So we get two of them. A string related path, we create some paths so that we can create some stuff. We create a unique asset path. Then we can instance of the SO asset database, create, save, and refresh assets. Then selection of active object, we focus the project window and we ping the object to create a small effect, which is quite fun. Then we assign the reference and return true because it was created. Cool. So that's the weapon setup editor window completely done. So the next thing is weapon creator window. Now this one's quite basic, just two variables, main mesh parent and weapon name. We have a menu item which is SKFPS weapon creator, and then it is also used for only opening the window up. Show window, it gets the window and just opens it up. On GUI we create a label, welcome to HKFPS weapon creator. We have a space of 10 pixels. We label, drag your weapon's main mesh parent into this field. Then we have the main mesh parent and all the rest GUI going on here. Create a weapon. It's very basic. Just check if weapon is not equal to nothing, then he must be something. So if it's nothing, then he will create nothing and just debug the block warning. Otherwise, if it's nothing, if it's something in the text that we have given, it's going to create every weapon, the weapon actually, and add the weapon base class, and then at the last moment just going to say, okay, setup helper.open window, weapon.transform and weapon base class, assigning the references required to open the window in the first place. Secondly, we just set the active object to weapon then and close the window. So it opens the other window which we just saw before. The custom inspector is quite simple as well, just paste inspector GUI. So we wanted to just destroy a button, so we cast, we then give the label field setup helper window. Okay, just showing it in the editor setup window, weapon setup window, that's better. And this function is just create. I put the wrong text here as well, but anyway, button that opens the window using the references. Just make that text alright, and that's pretty much it for the weapon base class as well. And we create a window, open the window, give the references that we just cast it through. The job's done for the editor. We can just minimize every single thing we've opened up till now. I know weapon base is quite big, but it's quite useful as well. That's going to be it for the weapon base class. The sway class you can remove from everywhere, delete it as well. So now to the class that is actually overriding weapon base, which is used for our shotguns. I've gone quite fast, so you can actually rewind and see what I did anyway. So we can see all of this stuff's going on here, similar stuff. On finish load bullets, we have just changed this a bit. On finish load bullet from below, and the playing of the animations are done. Have changes, and again it's the audio source play clip at point instead of the audio source or play. I just like that one nicer, so I've done that. And that's the end of shotgun script. Well, what's next? Main player controller. So let's do this function away. I've created a script I was using for testing. Just delete that out. Loading scripts. Right. We are in the player controller script. We have got it. Yeah, here it is. So at first we're going to search for changes, as I actually mark them with changes usually, and I'm able to then help myself out. The first change is gravity push off ledge settings. So, well, at the end of this video we are going to have changed this up, but for now I have kept this like this. G push movement speed, G raycast max settings, G, and everything else is done. And then we have some more changes for spine 1 constraint and spine 2 constraint. And yes, we have Yeah, we're using them, I think so. So if you're not, then we'll remove later on, but I think we're using it right now, so no problem. All these changes tags, so we can continue on the changes. Let's move on. The next change I can find here is the handle input and move function. In here you can see a raycast is generated, the ray actually. Input vector is now above here. We have the positions offsets from original, defined as 4 of these. Then we draw the ray, and have 4 sides of rays drawn to see. Check if the character controller is rounded, meaning the character controller is saying it is rounded, but actually the feet are still in the air. This is a technique that I'm using. I'm going to use a small raycast just to check that. And of course we also don't want any input at that current moment, because if that's so, then the feet are not going to be in the air, most probably. You can see we check if it false. So if we hit nothing, it means we're in the air. Both storing the results of the raycasts. There are 4 of them, storing front, right, left, front, right, left, rear, all of the 4 sides, plus sign, controller hand raycast results. That's a big function, just doing many if statements. Move the direction, get the move direction first. Have the current input vector similarly, moving the function at the end, but only if we don't return, of course. Now we have this function over here, handle controller raycast results. We have a lot of those. If front raycast false, rear raycast true, or left raycast true, rear raycast false, just close them all up. Okay. I don't know if that's a better way to explain. Looks even more worse. Let's open them back up. We have this one. Left raycast certificate false, true, and the rest are true. So yeah, let's open them back up. So just have a look, and you can just write that down in your own code. But let me just tell you, there's no need for putting this code, as at the end of the way you're going to change this actually. So don't add this code, don't worry. We'll be changing the code anyway, so don't need to add all of these million if statements if you don't want to. But yeah, don't need to, because at the end of the video you're going to have a different approach, and I'm going to talk about that in a part in this video at the ending points. I'm going to use the shrinking capsule technique, where I'm going to shrink the character controller's radius. So we'll talk about that in the part we do that in this video. So you don't even need to even change your input move and things. Let's continue the jump function. We create a ground check position, do a near ground check, call all the functions. We have the ground distance and ground check radius. And right at the bottom, I've added a function. This is the on draw gizmos. Just add it into a region. Then we have changes inside this function. It's a function which sets the spline's rotation constraints. And a look function which is slightly changed. It slopes the speed, so we've got the sloping speed. Max lookup down is changed. X rotation is set correctly. Transformed rotation is sloped to the target Y rotation. The center spline local rotation is modified to the X rotation, and local rotation to 0 if we are reloading. So we need to be not reloading, and also we should not be clipping, otherwise we're going to set it straight. Anyway, next function is very quick here, handle weapon clipping. So we're using this function, passing in true and false every time we want to do things. So true and false, true, false, false. Then we have this constraint offset being used. We just set it to the constraint offset. We have the current weapon dot local position is equal to the weapon data dot weapon position offset. So it's the offsetting system, and a few changes to the gun holder local rotation. Then this function here, how it works is it's just making sure is clipped is false, just in case, because we passed in false. Then we just set the constraints correctly. Constraint 1 is X axis is lowered to the spine position to 0. The Y of it is gone to the spine constraint offset Y, and it's set to 0. Similarly for the constraint 2, everything is same. It's just constraint 2. And same things down there, slight difference that we have correct things going on. Let's close the function up. Inside the exposed methods, we We have a swap weapon function, which has been changed. You can see we have directed 3/4 in. We've changed the function a bit, set current weapon to false, and more changes here. You can see weapon data, weapon position offset. And I think we can actually just drag this out because it's common in both the statements. Yeah, just delete that out and put one down there. Then we set the current weapon to true and control reference to this. So add a comment. Now, yeah, of course, I mentioned that as we made the is current weapon private, unless we've not done yet. Yeah, it's done, so that's why we can't use it anymore. We have to use the functions that are made for exposing it. Right? And at the start as well, it's just like this. So, and we set all IK transforms, so let me just see that function. I don't think we made any changes to that one. So yeah, set all the IK targets. We set the current weapon to new weapon now. That is swapped. Okay, that's it for the expose functions. We can update the code lines 959. Save this PlayerController. Close out weapon base. And yep. So now just a quick review of what has happened due to the changes we've made. So you can see I've got these nice new fields here. Well, sorry, we have not removed that. You need to get the MP7 if you want to get an MP7. Just mentioning that I've actually created a weapon here. New one. It's an SMG gun. I wanted to add one SMG, that's why. It's over here. So first we test our weapon creator that we made. Open the weapon creator window. And this is the new model mess. Of course, I have used this mush and cleaned up everything one by one, of course, but this is all bad and not good. That's alright, you can do that on your own. Drag this as you unpack the thing first. Yeah, that's always best, but right now we don't do that. Well, we can call this MP7 as our test. I'm not sure why I closed the window though, just to show you we have this whole window as well working. Save the projects, and now we delete this one. Hit play first to try out other things. Alright. So we can shoot and smooth the stuff that's going on here. This weapon's working pretty good. The recoil has been changed. You can modify the values in the SO script to get things correctly. You can see my settings. -25 to 0.35, snapping lens, return speed. Shooting is looking quite realistic here. As far as I think, and I made a good reloading animation. I have improved the animation though. So that's it for the SMG weapon and recoil changes. Now I'll remove this, don't worry, so we did that. But now we can see we have assigned the head aim rate. So if you have a look, our head aim rate, all axes are constrained. They weren't done before like that, but now they are. And if you select the player, you'll have a look at this guy here. We've got these 5 raycasts going down. I know they look silly, and that's why I'm going to change it at the end of the video. I mean before the end of the video, just before that. So don't worry about that. But just for now you can see everything else going on. Change the height of the crouching as well. So as you can see, the player falls off automatically instead of standing in the air, because that's like a fall. You must have seen that buggy thing. So when you have a side and something behind, it goes forward, which is quite funny. But it's okay because I'm going to change the approach before the video's end. So I'm not going to mention that one more time now, because it does really work for some cases. You'll see. Yeah, did good there. And we had to do this something like that because PlayerController doesn't have any material-based system, and it's actually kinematic. It doesn't interact with physics objects, so we can't assign a slippery thing to it. Otherwise, that would be the best option instead. It would slip off itself. But it's not a rigid body that we do that. Rigid body would do that on its own. But then, of course, you'll have to add stairs and get to jerky stuff, so it doesn't matter anyway. So the recoil sorry, the weapon clipping has now been changed. You would see that view was ever done nicely. Okay, so let's add the new feature I'm talking about in the previous text description that just came. So to start, we just go to the rig 1, we create an empty game object, call this the IK based fingers weight. Add the constraint weight modifier script. Now this is a custom script. Let me show you this. So quite basic. We have the weight that you want to change. We have the list of IK constraints you assign as game objects, initialized constraint and private one as well list. You have a for each function and initialized constraint function, which also has a for each or object. We just try to get the ivory constraint, and we have two functions that expose the thing. So we get affected constraints and get weight. Okay. I can add up quite a few of these in here, as many as I want, of course. So how I'm going to do this is, I'm going to log the inspector, select all of these, and just drag them directly into the list. Unlock, and this weight is now going to modify this in real time. So drag that on top, and let me create a new empty game object, body. Drag these as the body constraints, because they're based on body. Create a new object, and call this the hands. Drag them inside. Looks more neat. Create a new empty game object inside the left hand IK, called the IK based fingers. Close that down there. IK based fingers here as well. Right there and there. Done. Complete. A new game object called direct rotation constraints. Match fingers, sorry. Similarly for the right hand. Delete that. Just gonna create an empty game object left. This is supposed to contain all the constraints for the direct rotation. Just reorder this. It looks like Unity just reordered them for me without asking me, but that's okay. So this is the first one, left hand index constraint, and we can add a multi-rotation constraint. So that's how we're going to do it, and then we need to assign the constraint object and all that stuff. It's going to be quite boring, so I'm not going to actually go through all of that, as you should already know that. We've gone through quite a lot of animation rigging stuff now. But don't worry, if you want to learn more about animation rigging, you can go and check out the Unity manual. It's quite basic. Animation rigging is quick and easy to learn, but really just assign the constraint object and the source object. It's going to match the rotation on its own. So I'm going to create a new empty game object inside the target. IK based fingers targets, and just drag that in there. I need another one for the right hand as well. And just drag that in there. So now I'm going to return after I've done all the constraints, assigned everything, and show you what I did. Alright, quite basic, simple. Just add that empty game object. So we are done. So here I am back, and we've got all the constraints done. You can see I've added all of them. You can see the child did correctly. Looks like good hierarchy as well. So they're all gonna override the correct ones, and we are assigning them to correct targets with all the targets as well, and constraints. Everything's done. We have also added the full transform rotation to all of those targets it's supposed to follow. Now I made some changes to full transform PostScript. You can see that quite quickly. Full transform rot has an offset function now, and we offset it using quaternion Euler multiplication. Then full transform later update, position rot, we have position offset and rotation offset. Both are added correctly. Later update is same. So that was quite fast to show you off that. Now we need to assign all these targets off, unless they are already assigned. They'll automatically assign though for us when we add the code for that. Down here I have only one thing, so let's go and create something new. So let's move to the scripts folder, and let's create a new script. The script name is going to be basically the hands constraint, I think. So rotation constraints, and their constraint transform. Go to the scripts and open that up, make it a basic class, no inheritance, then call it serializable. Yeah, and once that's done, we can just add and paste this in there. Of course, it's not what we want in this section. It's going to be different. We're going to have about 3x5, so 15 variables for one hand finger. 3, 3, 3. So we got index 3, and they're all constraints, not IKs. They're constrained more than inverse kinematics instead. Just now we can delete all this garbage, paste this in there instead, and then rename stuff to match middle. That out, paste that as a pinky, copy the pinky variable, paste the pinky variable again and again, same thing, then ring, then ring again, and again ring for all three. And finally the thumb, so the thumb is going to be thumb. Once that's done, we have all the IK targets for left hand. We can just paste them as right hand. Rename the front part to right, and all that to right. The job should be done then. Let's rename all of them. And we're done. So you will notice that the right hand IK and left hand IK are always same, because we need IK for that. There's no point in giving control to the player for that one, because IK is anyway quite accurate with that. So close that out. Create a new hand IK follower, and this is for the hand rotation constraint. So this is hands constraint followers instead of hand IK. Save and come in here, and we got the rainbow sign. Come on, it can do it. Yep, loaded. Now we can come in here and we're gonna assign all the references, but we're gonna use a script that will assign it for us instead of for no reason assigning them here. So I'm not gonna assign them, I think. Yeah, I'll assign the left hand IK though, and IK as well. And who cares? Let's just assign all of them one by one. You can add the code later. Or how about I add the code? So firstly, to add some space, and I think 2 is too less, so just add more space, and 10 instead of 5, because they look quite jiggled up, confusing as well. Alright, done. Loading again, rainbow sign. Now we can just drag them one by one. So drag. We got all the former ones done. Let's assign all of these together. Do option plus open and close all the other things. Close everything else. And let's assign everything we need to assign. The index done. Middle done. And then pinky's done. Getting the ring going on. And finally the thumb. Now it's time for the other hand. So use option to again expand all, then assign, or alt if you're on Windows. Let's just get these done now. Middle, pinky, ring, and the thumb finally. Quite fast. Save the project. Just clear all the errors. Close this out. We've got 2 of these nice brackets here, and this is a good script, so close it out again. Now we can add a header, and we can say, okay, this is the hands over hands const transforms overrides. You can save, then add a float, or rather we don't need that right now. Save. Let's go and load it up. Let's delete the console. Now it's done, right? Cool, removed it. Here we are. And let's move to weapon base. So in here we need to create a new object for the hands constraints, as we need that in both places. So weapon base also has it. Define a new enum. So this enum is below here, and it's called the hand constraint type. Hands constraint type. Yep. We have IK based fingers, and we have the rotation constraint based fingers. We'll define a public hands constraint type. Save it, and we can select the MP7 to have a look at what's going on. Moving all the way to the player controller here, and then going inside the, well, we could define everything up down, so we define something over here. Private constraint weight modifier, IK based constraints, IK based fingers weights. So those 2 scripts you've added already. One is for the rotation, one is for the IK based constraints, constraint based. Saving that, we can move back, but before we move, we need to just go and write some more code. So at the beginning, as you can see, this will not work. Instead, we need to pass in current weapon only, and we take in a weapon base, so we don't care now. There you are. It's going to start giving errors though, we don't care. C weapon, or rather just say weapon in a small case. Pass in new weapon instead of new weapon that hand like it. So we start by an if statement, weapon dot hands constant type is equal to IK base fingers. Then this will work perfectly fine. But we still got some errors though. So the errors are saying that please give us the correct thing, and we just pass in the correct big one. So weapon dot hands IK targets. Paste that a million times. Yeah, not a million, it's just 12 times. Then an else if we checks, or rather just keep it down to an else because it's gotta be one. So it's gonna be for that one. So fast and hands rotation constraint instead, and we can actually just space that out as we did. It won't work that. So just delete the right hand and the left hand. So now we're gonna just set IK followers and IK followers dot. We need to move to the hands IK rotation followers. So hand constraint dot followers left hand IK transform, comma weapon dot hand rotation constraint transform. So this makes more sense. Similarly for the right hand, we can just change it to right hand and add the correct constraint that we are gonna set to. Then paste that and change it to left hand index. Left hand index 1, paste again, and paste one more time. Index 2 and index 3, index 3 and index 2. Then duplicate that, paste that one more time, and now we can have middle, middle again, middle again, middle, middle, middle. Alright, cool. Paste. First we need to fix that into pinky. After pasting it, pinky, 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 pinky. Copy that, paste it again, and we get the ring, the ring, and the ring. Again, ring as the target side as well. Again, paste it as that, and we get another. This time it's a thumb on every single axis. Thumb, 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 and then we can do the same thing for the right hand, except that now we rename every single end to a right. So right, 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 right. That's gonna be done 12 times as well. Well, 15 times, not 12. Should keep adding it out. And then the targets, of course, also the weapon target has to be assigned. The thing we need to assign to has to be right hand as well. So right, 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 and right. Continue writing right by replacing the left, and done. So of course it's time for some editor scripting, because we have to actually tell the editor to now create correct hands like targets. So by changing this doesn't help, because currently nothing really changes. Changing it to this one, yeah, you can see we get an error because it's null. That's okay, so at least it's working. That's all I want to check. Skip to IK base because that's the true thing. But if I set it to a rotation based, if I set another weapon to rotation based, so it does work. So any weapon when swapping, and by default it also works. Now if I make it back okay, it's also working. Alright, cool. Save, go ahead. And let's go and do the editor scripting actually. So the weapon setup window currently can only create the basic IK ones, right? So if you check this out, it's only the IK ones. We're gonna allow it to make the constraint rotation based one as well. In the weapon based class, you have the reference, so it's gonna work. Let's go to the weapon creator window. The weapon setup window. In the variable section, let's highlight this and paste it. Called the hand rotation constraint targets. Make one left hand IK. Keep the just delete the IK ones because we have them as anyway. Just the new ones constraint, and it's gonna be constraint, constraint, constraint. I don't think I should have done that, but I'm doing it already, so I can now make that correctly named left hand index. Oh come on, why am I doing that? Anyway, have to make them duplicate, so this one can be duplicated twice and make index 3, index 2, and index 3. Duplicate that one, paste that 3 times. You get index 1, index 3. And then duplicate that one and paste, of course, 3, 3, 3. So then 1 and 2 and 3, rings gone, and now the thumb. Thumb 1, 2, and 3. The name as well, of course, I have forgotten to do that. Just paste that into the right hand and just rename things now to the right hand. Make it right, And once done, almost there. Now we also need to change the name. So right is the name, and just make the thumbs done, as I forgot earlier. And make everything right. And now the right hand thumb will also not have the 1, 2, 3, so we just put that to add that, just 1, 2, and 3. So save. We got the variables done for the new IK type of targets. Now we can define inside the page 1 if statement weapon base class the hand construct type is equal to this IK based, then only we want to draw this one. Else if, or else we'll draw the other one. So how we do that is just pass in the refs. So pass in the index 1, delete everything else except the hand, one finger. Index can then be changed like that. Paste, make the middle one again, and write the middle again and again. Just copy it for ease, and paste, paste, paste. Then we have the pinky. Inky is down here. Pinky, once we're done with that one. Alright, then we have the ring. After the ring, we will use the thumb. So now we're done almost with the ring, finishing the last line. We can now paste with the thumb, putting the thumb in, and we're done with the thumb. But we're getting an error because we don't have that variable. I'm not sure what I've done here, and it's actually called a target instead, or we forgot to add names, so just add name to it. So I forgot to put the name variable in front of it, and it's a name. Okay, save it up. And actually mistakenly put the name and everything, so just remove that all. Remove every single name in front of them then, because that's the actual variable instead. Just remove them one by one, and we're done. Save. Let's go down. Okay, now we can just duplicate and paste and make it for the right hand instead. Just paste right everywhere. Then from here, right, but it's too big, so just want to copy that small one instead of the uppercase one, and then paste in every single fingers. Now I'm going to define hands constraint using the enum pop-up system, and it's actually the hands constraint type. Directly going to use it instead of having to go to the weapon and change that from there. They can now change it directly in our window. We don't need to change the if statement though. Alright, add a comment, and let's go ahead. Open the weapon creator, assign a test mesh, call it testy, and here you are. We can now see rotation constraints. So what we want to do now is add a space of 10 so it looks better. Go and open up the window, delete this one, drag a new one, open create again, test it out again, HK, and we can see we can change that, so that's pretty cool. But now let's have a look at this thing. So when we save the project, let's delete it again, save the project again, and close everything up. So let's close everything else. So it's time to create the hand IK targets correctly as well, because if you click the button, it's literally not going to create the correct one. It's going to create the IK one. So we can say create hands constraints so that it can do both, because IK one is actually also a constraint. So we can define it if after the left hand IK and right hand IK target are created, hands constraint type is equal to IK based, then we want to catch up this whole stuff and paste in there. Nothing to do with the other ones though. So also the parenting, as you can see, it's giving error, so we're just gonna pick up all of that, do this, and go and paste it in there. Cool, save it out. This is where we're gonna do everything, like creating the new game object for index 1. So that's the index 1 constraint target name. Delete that, and now use the duplication technique. Make it 3, make it 2 and 3. Delete the right hand, or rather delete the right hand only. Don't delete the comment because we need that. Then just make it middles, so middle, middle, and middle. And then for the pinky, next is the ring, and then finally the thumb. Cool, we created all the game modes for the left hand, now for the right hand. Just rename the front endings to right. Alright, and the actual game object creation names. Variables are correctly assigned as well. Alright, cool, done. Now we need to do the appearance. So let's parent them all correctly. Left index 1, copy that, paste it there. It's set to the correct one, paste, paste, paste. We get index 3 and all that correctly done as well. We don't need that. We just now need to get the middle, transform to parent equal to left hand IK, and assign that. Middle 2, middle 3. All of them have to be assigned to the left hand IK. Then pinky and the ring again, the thumb, final one, and now for the right hand. Right, 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 right. So the right hand. And they have to be assigned to right hand IK target, so paste that out everywhere. Okay, done. Save. And if we come down here, we can now test. Drag our mesh of MP7, create a drag a mesh in there, call it the MP7, create, and we can now set this to so the mesh isn't assigned directly. I think we can use some get component in children just for a guess. My system can try and guess, and you can see we don't have any scrolling available, so if it goes up we just can't scroll, and similarly everywhere else on my pages. But yes, we can create a target, and all the targets are actually assigned to left hand IK, so let's just change that. Instead there should be like a hierarchy as a normal bone hierarchy. Left index 1 holds the left index 2 and the 3, so you can see how I'm doing that. Left index 3 is channeled to left index 2. Similarly for middles, so just do that. Pinky 2, and pinky 3 for pinky 2. Thumb, index again, right hand pinky, right hand's ring. That'll give us a nice effect when we're going to create them. We'll see they are all nicely done with the hierarchy, so delete that one, drag a new one for test, drag the reference, MP7, create the weapon, set it to rotation, hit the button, and nice, so we got the hierarchy done. And you'll also see that the references have not been assigned. So what we need to do is assign the reference just like they've done here. Just paste that code there and say weapon hands constraint type, constraint rotation, and paste it everywhere. Deleted though, didn't need that. So left hand IK is correctly done. Left hand index has to be done now. So index 1, then copy that, paste it twice, and assign all the references for middle and index. Now middle, so make that middle, then duplicate that one. It's time for the pinky, and pinky is done. It's time for the ring, now the last thing is left, the thumb. Duplicate it, and we can get the thumb done now. And time for the right hand. So copy the whole junk and make it the right hand IK transform to the right hand IK transform. First we make the first names all correctly done. AUR, and make them all right instead. All of them. Yeah. ring, now thumb. Done. Save and move on. So we can give it another test. So delete. Now the references should be assigned. Drag, name it, and create the IQ transform like this. And if we now select the MP7, you'll see that everything has been created, signed as well. Now save the project, pin it up and create again. Now if you notice, the mesh is not calculated correctly. So what I'm going to do is right above here, I'll say transform. So of course it gives in itself, usually the function, and I'll just get the child instead. So get the first child, and most probably if the person who made the weapon followed my structure, the mesh is going to be below. It's gonna get it, yeah, it will, because when you use the weapon creator, it's gonna get it. So create, and there you go, the mesh. There you are. You can delete this all. It's going to save. So it's the end of the creation handling, and now I need to add a scroll view. So I'm quite confused here. I'm trying to get these scroll views. So I finally figured it out. I went up, define a variable, scroll amount or scroll view amount. Then inside the page 1, we can equal it to 0, 0, and we got a scroll view. But secondly, it's not going to actually work well, because we still pass the new vector to 0. We need to pass the scroll view amount. Saving it out, we'll come down here and you'll see it's scrolling, it's working. But now everything else is not being scrolled. So we're going to put this inside the on GUI before we draw all the pages and after we draw all the pages. So you'll see. At the end, let's try it out first. And no, so when we scroll, nothing works. The previous and next page are all stuck at the bottom, which is not so cool. Instead, I want it all to be inside the scroll. So GUI layout.end scroll at the bottom of the on GUI, and at the top of the on GUI function, just begin a scroll view. We can set our scroll view amount, paste that. And I haven't actually deleted that one before that. First, we need to delete that one, so otherwise it won't work. And there you are. It's giving an error saying, hey, you're not calling it, because it was not loading the script yet. Now it's loaded it, everything's working. Save to the project. And yes, we are done with the scroll view stuff. Yeah, kind of. It seems to be working, but let's just adjust the space to what I look like. So we're gonna do a space 15. Not so good. Previous step and next step still squashed at the bottom. I think a bit more. 17, let's try that. And that's the job. Looks pretty good now. Everything works. If you make it small, the scroll view starts to take place. So now is the time to fix that 5 raycast nonsense to a proper solution. I talked about making the radius small, and that's what we can do. So radius change time is equal to 0.4f. The new float we can define another one, private float. We need 2 of them. One of them is the G radius, or the G sphere radius. That's for the check that we're going to do, check radius. And it's 0.2f, it's quite small. Then we have G sphere check Y offset, which is by default 0. Nobody would like to change that usually. Then comment all of this ray stuff, and let's accept the input vector. And now we just copy that function, paste in there. And instead it's a sphere, check sphere. And then we need to pass in the position, which is transform the position plus the new vector 3, and the y offset at 0, 0, 0. G raycast max no longer exists. We need the raycast radius, the G sphere check radius, and make sure it's false. So if that is true, if all that true, stop, change radius coroutine, and restart. So stop coroutine, and we have a start coroutine. So it's going to be a basic function which is going to use some while loops to smoothly reduce the radius, and then basically it's going to shrink the radius and then back. So it's going to be all smooth based on the time you pass in. So target radius, and we have a float time. Float elapsed time is equal to 0. Float initial radius is equal to the character controller's radius. Actually, I'm going to set this to controller radius. And then we have a smoothly increase it, so rather decrease it, because we have to decrease, or just set the radius because it might be greater or lesser. While elapsed time is lesser than time, we want to say character controller radius is equal to math of the loop, initial radius, target radius at a speed of elapsed time /time. then elapsed time plus equals time dot delta time, and yield return null. Then we do rectangular dot radius is equal to target radius, so make sure it does reach the point. Smoothly revert the radius back to the original value, and that's not so hard. Do another while loop, and again it's elapsed time, this time smaller than time, and we do a function, just make a space, clean code. Controller dot radius, or MATLAB, target radius, initial radius, controller radius, sorry, because we need to go to the controller radius. Just set to 0.5, a variable which I just defined without showing you, of course, yes. Elapsed time / time. Now we go down, controller dot radius is equal to controller radius. Save that, and just start the coroutine, the change radius coroutine. We need to pass in the target radius and the float time. So the target radius is going to be G sphere check radius minus 0.05, so it's small than the actual radius, so that we actually are able to fall off a thing we actually are stuck on, and radius change time in both cases. Alright, now we have some values we can modify. Hit play. Let's go and play, and let's move to this place, and if we come down here, so as you can see, it did work. So there was a problem and the Unity actually crashed. So why did that happen? I'm stopping the coroutine, or rather, sorry, it's crashed. It actually jittered a lot, so I had to stop play mode. Define a new bool here. Call it private bool. Set it to true. And inside this coroutine is false, and after the coroutine is true. Cool, now let's try it out. And now you know what's gonna happen with my Unity, it's gonna crash. Because inside the code, we've written a while loop, which is not what it's gonna do correctly. So it didn't even go, I think. The while would have crashed for sure. Or maybe crashed and I've cut it short. Yes, so we need to set to 0 actually, and that's why it's gonna crash then. This while loop's gonna get the crash, and I know it because I know actually. But now I'm fixing it already. So now it won't crash, of course. So hit the play button, and it's gonna work. And yay! It did close and open and that stuff, but it did seem a bit cheeky to me. So I made the check radius more smaller, but making the check radius more smaller didn't really do much. It's just 0.15 in the center. I can delete this function as it's useless, and this commented out green stuff, yeah, out of here. Then we check the code, add a few comments, check if we are already changing the radius. Start the radius change coroutine. Alright, cool. Now go into Gizmo's drawer and draw a wire sphere. And we're gonna draw the wire sphere and transform the position plus new vector 3. That's gonna be I think 0, comma G sphere check y offset 0 again, and then G sphere check radius. Done. Created it. And now just a small comments to help out. We draw sphere for radius changer. Right, cool, save and hit play to try it out. So if you enable gizmos, well, really not want to do that in play. It doesn't look like great. Sometimes you do need to do it. So you can see that there's a small circle at the bottom, and yes, I've actually changed the, you can see that's not pretty good looking here. Yeah, it's becoming small and big in real time, which is not making sense. And that's because the system is not perfect, so we can make it 0.2 instead, and give it a bit of an y offset. Now that doesn't look perfect either, so we want to get to a good points, which makes sense. Offset can be 0.1 or even lesser, maybe make the radius bigger, 0.25. Let's check radius is not 0.25, meaning 0.2 is going to be the radius value that's going to go to, which is pretty good. Now if I go and have a look, I have changed the settings to 0.25 and minus 0.1, just the settings I liked. So I kind of forgot to make the weight system work, so we have not assigned them in the inspector either, but let's go and do that. So let's go into the handle weapon clipping and just do it here. Set constraints weights. We set the IK based fingers weight modifier dot wait a minute. We don't have a function for setting that up. Get weight, will it work? No, it doesn't work. So we need to make a void set weight and take in the float weight, set the weights correctly. And we can use the function set weight. So set weight method.loop from the IK get weight. Check if we go. No, we don't do that. Yeah, first we check that, and then only we set it to 1 at a speed of normal derping speed that I always set to 10 times, and the rotation constraint to 0, and get weight from the rotation constraint and 0. Else we duplicate this line of code in the same place, and instead that one's 0 and that one's 1. That's it. Save, and we are out. Now let's try it out. So go down here, and we of course will get an error because I've not assigned it in the inspector. Go to the inspector and assign it. So write the file, the script, sorry. And you can see that the if I change it in real time, it seems to have not done the job. It has, so it is doing, but it's not doing it smoothly for some reason. It looks like every time I change, it just snaps. I'm not sure why that's happening, even though I've not changed the thing anywhere else in the script. Maybe it's just because of something else. But nobody's gonna actually change it in real time, so I'm just gonna set it to another weapon and try that out. So if you pick it up, jump, it just jerks to it. I think it's because they're all null actually. If you check the rotation hands, they're all null actually, and that's why it's not happy with me. So it did go smoothly. So first time it goes smoothly. Because of the error that happens when you change it in real time, it doesn't actually get anything. So what we're gonna do is set back to IK based. Just get out of play mode first, or before we get out of play mode, I want to see what's going on here. Yeah. So of course nothing is following correctly. So what we can do is just go to the. We can go and create a new MP7. Use our weapon creator. Make a rotation constraint 1 and null 1, but it's gonna have a reference at least. And then we can assign the AK-47 as well, just so that we can interact, but we won't be able to interact with it. I need to fix this out first. Save, apply the prefab, and I also need to add a collider, or rather first make it a weapon, and before that add a box collider. And now I should see it. So swap this weapon set, and there you get an object reference null exception. So we actually have a bug over here, and this is not something to do with the null being a rotation constraint, because anyway it fails. I'm not sure what this has to do. Let me find out. So all these scripts are actually full transform rods, right? So why is it failing to get it? Is it because we are not getting the correct component? Let me have a look. So if you see, passing the correct thing again, I don't know what's wrong with it. Let me just debug.log, and once we debug.log, well, so there you are, I get it. It's doing the wrong thing. So create a new void function, set constraint, followers, target to target, transform follower target, paste in, make it follower transform rod. We don't have a target exposed, make it public then. It's exposed now, save it. This function has to be used everywhere for the other ones, so except the hand, which I've actually changed now, and I'm gonna have to fix it. play, and we works error because of the mistake that I made. And we can fix that problem. Just have to fix it a while. Come on, no more waste of time. We're done with it. Assign them, save it out, and close it. We're done. Finish. Hey, we're done with today's video. It's part 44, I guess, or 45. Doesn't matter really. Save, apply everything, close. Save the project. Bye bye.